Opt out or contact us anytime. He also found a job in a small dress shop. The owner was looking for someone to finish up the dresses, he said. My sister had learned sewing with the nuns, and she had a notebook with all the basics. That was my first real experience with fashion, and while I was in the shop, I improved dramatically. Advertisement. Continue reading the main story. He added, close to the boutique, there was a beautiful palace where two wealthy girls spent their days looking out the balcony. They saw me going in and out of the shop with cartons and fabrics, and finally, one day after school, they came up to question me about my work and invited me to their house that same night. There Mr. Alaïa met a cousin of the girls who wore Christian Dior and Balmain dresses, and through her he found work with a dressmaker who made copies of Balmain clothing. Photo styles from the Alaïa ready-to-wear collection for spring 2014. Credit Valerio Mezzanotte for the New York Times. From there, with help from a well-connected friend of the cousins, he went to Paris, to work for Dior, in 1957. Living in the Chambre de Bonne of Comtesse Nicole de Blagiers, he paid his rent by making clothes for her and babysitting her children. Word spread, and it became an inside secret of the great and good of French society. Clients included the writer Louise de Villemorne, Cécile and Marie-Hélène de Rothschild, of the banking family, and the actress Arletty. He opened his own maison in 1979. Mr. Alaïa introduced his first ready-to-wear collection in 1980 and was soon hailed as the king of cling, though his garments were much more than that. He used leather and knits to shape and support the body, transforming it into the best version of itself. Though his aesthetic fell out of fashion with the advent of deconstructed minimalism in the 1990s, Mr. Alaïa never allowed himself to be distracted by the trends of others, and by the year 2000 acolytes began returning to his atelier, a complex of buildings on Rue de Moussy in the 4th arrondissement, where he lived, worked and cooked. In 2007, Compagnie Financière Richemont bought a majority stake in the business, allowing it to expand at its own pace. A perfume was introduced and store expansion planned, and by last year Mr. Alaïa had more than 300 points of sale globally. His closest collaborator was Carlos Azzedine, owner of the influential boutique 10 Corso Como. Beyond the runway, Mr. Alaïa created work for the ballet and the opera, began holding art exhibitions in 2004 in the space that also houses his showroom. Regular programming began in 2015 with an exhibition by the Syrian poet Adonis, and was planning a bookstore. He is survived by his partner, the painter Christophe Vanwehe, and nieces and nephews. Mr. Alaïa returned to the couture calendar in July after 6 years. In the audience were Jacques Lang, the former French Minister of Culture, Carl Bruni Sarkozy, former First Lady of France, and one-time Alaïa model, Isabelle Huppert, the actress, Marc Newson, the industrial designer, and Fabrice Herget, the director of the Museum of Modern Art in Paris. Advertisement. Continue reading the main story. Mr. Alaïa had become the equivalent of a national treasure, and everyone was there to honor him. A version of this article appears in print on November 19, 2017, on page 832 of the New York edition with the headline, Azzedine Alaïa, 82, fashion designer known for his independence, dies. Order reprint.